Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talk Tuesday for June 15th. I know it's a really busy time for a lot of folks, so we may not have a very big group, but it looks like folks are joining, and so that makes me very happy. I don't know about everybody else, but so we are recording, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm hoping everybody can see the screen okay. Today's agenda, we're going to do the welcome, which I'm doing now. If you could enter your name and your title and your district in the chat, that would be really helpful for us for knowing who's attending, and so we can keep in touch with you. I'm going to go over some things of what's new at the Connecticut State Department of Education, and then I'm so pleased we have our Chief Academic Officer, Irene Parisi, with us today. Hi, Irene. She's going to help us with all of the new resources that have come out, reimagining schools to transform students' lives. I just love that. Regarding the ARP ESSER guidance, it's all connected to Accelerate CT framework, I'm sure. And then we're going to do some breakout sessions and go over what's happening next. So what's new at CSDE? There is a lot here. And because it's so small, I'm going to move it up onto my larger monitor. I'm not looking away from you guys. I just need to see it better. So there is quite a bit that's been loaded on. This is all from the Superintendent's Digest, and I'm just going to go through it very quickly. The stars where there's asterisks or things like I want to call your attention to. So there's a new ARP ESSER Maintenance of Equity FAQ from the U.S. Department of Education. It's very interesting about guidance around how we're going to be funding districts. The Future of Tech Commission Town Hall. At June 10th, chronic absence patterns and prediction during COVID-19, insights from Connecticut. This is a really important research brief that was just released. It was authored by Attendance Works and the Connecticut State Department of Education. I'll be going over a little bit about that in a few minutes. We have submitted, the State Department of Education has submitted our ARP ESSER plan, and so that is linked here. There's a lot in there that's connected to our work around attendance. School climate. So you may want to take a look at that. The back to school meeting is August 11th. There's African American. Is everybody muted? Thank you. So June 3rd, we have updated CSDE ARP ESSER guidance, and that is, we're going to talk about that with Irene Parisi in a few minutes. There's summer camps and access for children with disabilities, extremely important. And the June 1st, a lot of the June 1st information has to do with summer programs, after school funding grants, summer learning challenges, all kinds of great stuff to keep our students engaged over the summer and going into the school year. So I encourage you to take a look at some of these links. They're all hot linked, and I'll be sending out the PowerPoint right after this meeting. Next slide. This is something we had at the Community of Practice, this compendium of resources. We shared it June 9th at our meeting with the district attendance leads, and it starts with the first. Everything's hyperlinked here. It starts with the U.S. Department of Education guidance. Oh no, it doesn't. It starts with the data. It starts with the new research brief by Attendance Works, Insights from Connecticut. There's a new attendance research paper from the Future Ed, the people who do attendance playbook, called Present Danger. There's I linked to the supporting students participation EdSite page on attendance and learning model data. So this is all hyperlinked to U.S. Department of Education guidance, our Department of Ed Accelerate CT and the accompanying pieces with that. Massachusetts has done an acceleration roadmap that's very interesting and helpful, so we connected that. And then the last thing is getting into the nitty gritty of how do you use interventions to address attendance, and that has the attendance playbook. It also has an amazing document that's often overlooked by Attendance Works called the Implementation Guide for Using the Attendance Playbook. So how do you decide which of the interventions are right for your school or district? And then Attendance Works has a fantastic toolkit called pathways to engagement that talks about bridging to the summer and welcoming schools and belonging to schools in the fall, and lots of tools and tips in there. I also wanted to share, this is Insights from Connecticut, the National Research Brief. I put a little clip art here of what it looks like, some of the press release and the quotes from HEDI and our commissioner, Charlene Russell Tucker. It features Connecticut's data. Connecticut was one of the only states that collected daily attendance and also learning model for all students on a monthly basis. And that is very rich data that most states do not have. So this research brief is not only for us to learn about where our students are around attendance, but also to help other states learn. So on our next Talk Tuesday, June 29th, David Alejandro from our performance office will be digging deep into these findings and share with you. But in the meantime, you can download the report here. Okay, and so I wanted to do the spotlight on data, students who are homeless. This is an area that I personally have been very concerned about over the weekend. We've been looking at students who are homeless data, and they are trending extremely high. We know that. We've known it since the beginning of the year, but I just wanted to put a spotlight on it because you can see our homeless students in April had, they have the highest group of students who are remote. And they are also, we know that attendance is lower for remote learners than in-person learners and even hybrid learners. So it's important for us to be paying attention for students who are homeless, to look at the chronic absence. The data on the right shows chronic absence in April was over 50% for students who are homeless. Look at it compared to the rest of this data. It's alarming. And so a year ago, when the school year ended in March, it was 40%. So you can also look at some of these other data elements where you can see that chronic absence has just gotten very high. It is coming down. One of the findings in the report was that our attendance, our chronic absence rates, they compared the fall to the winter months, and chronic absence improved in the winter than it had in the fall. But we'll be going over those findings at a later date. I also just wanted to share with you, this is, it's hard to see, but this is a spreadsheet that shows, you know, I pulled this down from this website that is on EdSite, Supporting Student Attendance. It's linked right here. You can download your own spreadsheet that you can isolate your districts by subgroup. But if you look at this data, for Connecticut, you can see that we're not identifying our students who are homeless as we have in the past. The numbers have significantly reduced. I blocked out the districts here, but you can see for some districts, it has, for the state, it's about half. So I know, and we all know, that with remote learning, we're not able to identify these students who need our support the most. And I just want to bring this to your attention because we have the moratorium on evictions will be ending at the end of this month. It takes a while for families and students for the whole eviction process to happen, but it is going to add lots of stress to families, and there will be students who may be finding themselves in unstable housing. And so what I've put here is an article that I found really interesting. It's really important for districts to work with everyone, staff, coaches, after-school providers, your home visitors, to be able to identify students who may be struggling with homelessness. And so these are some of the things to look for. I encourage you to put this into some of your staff training and to be familiar with definitions and the McKinney-Vento webpage that talks about the rights for supports for these students.
Hi, Kari, it's John Fresinelli. Can you hear me? Mind if I jump in?
No, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted folks to be aware. Thanks for highlighting the you know, the concern about our students who are experiencing unstable housing. Also know that as part of the American Rescue Plan, there was a set aside for every state with regard to supporting our students experiencing homelessness. I think typically in Connecticut, we get between $600,000 to $700,000 a year to support our students. We put out 20 grants through the ARP ESSER homeless children and youth. We're going to get about 7.5 million additionally. So that we're working to see how we can incorporate part of those applications with districts' global ARP ESSER applications. So stay tuned for that. I'm sort of counting on you folks to make sure that money doesn't get forgotten. I know many districts are getting super large amounts of money under the ARP ESSER, and we want to make sure that everybody takes advantage of the $7.5 million that's available to Connecticut. So stay tuned for more information on that. Thanks, Corey.
Okay. And I've been working closely with my colleague, Luke Rita, and he has an FAQ around the funding that John's talking about and other things related to McKinney-Vento and homeless education that I will share with you when I send out the follow-up email. The next slide. There's upcoming training, parent-teacher home visits training. This is for teams from school districts who are looking at training their teachers or educators around parent-teacher home visits. It's June 28th. It's a 3.5-hour training, and it will cover both remote virtual home visits and in-person home visits. This is a very important model that is supported by research and also is one of the initiatives and resources to spark innovation in our recent guidance around the ARP ESSER plan. So this is an allowable resource for your ARP and ESSER funds. So download the flyer or register now. There probably will be more over the summer, but we're trying to do this for districts so that you don't have to plan your own training, so that we can consolidate resources. So go ahead and sign up or call myself or Betsy Laborious, who's on our call today, if you have any questions, right? And so next slide is we're going to move into Irene Parisi with Reimagining Schools to Transform Students' Lives, ARP and ESSER guidance, and connecting the dots and all of that. So I think this is your first slide, is it not?
No, there's a few before that, and there's a reason for it. So yes, thank you, Kari, for always, and your partner at CERC, Stephen, for having this forum for people to come together, and always appreciate the list of information that you share, because you forget that there's all of these resources out there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really acting as a reminder too. So will you be driving for me then, Kari?
I can. Do you have your slides with you there? You can drive if you like.
I do. Okay, so I'll do that. So I do have some slides prepared, and the reason is because I want you to be able to take it back as a resource to your district or with your team and use it. It's not incredibly, it's not that fantastic, but hopefully you'll find that it is useful. So I'm going to pull up that PowerPoint. I had to disconnect from the network, so hopefully this. Okay. Okay. Kari, can you see the slides?
I can. It looks great.
Okay, great. So again, thank you for letting me come to the group and speak with everyone. I see some familiar names, and so hello again. So if some of this information I'm about to share is not new to you, again, it's about reminding ourselves of the different assets that are available, all these resources that are available, but also, again, as a reminder of like, how do we utilize them and use this network, use this forum to think about some of the strategies. So I pose the question of how might we, because we don't have all of the answers, but if we present like, how might we engage our youth, or how might we locate our students that are homeless and support them in their needs. So using that how might we brings everyone to the table to think differently, to reimagine, as you say. I'm sharing my contact information here, so you can you'll have these slides, or just take a picture of this. You can email me or call me. You can certainly follow me on Twitter, and if you want, I'll follow you as well. So I wanted you to have my contact information. And right now, just as a check-in, really thinking about your own alignment. So what I would like you to hold on to right now is think about, where are you in the work that you're doing? And then think about, where do you want to be? So whatever topic that is weighing on you right now, or the reason why you're here. Again, think about where you are and where do you want to be. We'll come back to this. So asset-based mindset is something that I believe in, and I think it's good that we use that type of language because we're hearing more and more. Let's not approach this work from a deficit standpoint, but what are the assets we have available? I see the many districts that are on our call today, and you're doing amazing work. So think about all the work that you're doing as an asset, and then how might we add to that? You know, having that strengths-based approach to the work. So some of the assets that we have developed and put in your hands is the Accelerate CT framework, as well as now connecting the dots to the American Rescue Plan and our ESSER funding. Now, what I want to make sure that you leave here with is that Accelerate CT is not just a flashy statement or a marketing campaign. It is what we believe and what we value. We value the strengths that students are coming back to us with. We value the strengths of our teacher colleagues and meeting them where they are right now so that we can jumpstart their experience. That's what Accelerate CT is about. How do we jumpstart whatever their starting line may be so that in the end they feel that, and now they're ready. And now they're ready, and now our teacher colleagues are ready to meet them and work with them, meet them where they are, and accelerate as quickly as possible and as much as we can. So again, let's approach this from an asset-based approach, build on our strengths, and think about how might we leverage these. So I'm going to drill in a little bit more. So if you haven't seen it already, inside the Accelerate CT framework on page 8, we have created this CSDE acceleration cycle. We created this with a large team. I think we started with 137 people, and then we've branched out. So this has been refined over and over to really support the work of the district. And we were very intentional to call them strategic acceleration habits. So we feel that if we call these and commit to these habits versus rules for doing this work, we might get more people to the table. And this can also translate to the classroom too. So if you as a teacher are creating strong habits in your classroom, then you model them for our students, then they too can start to instill these habits in their work. So what I've listed here from this cycle is that the habits that we might develop to organize and prioritize the work that's, you know, where you are right now. How do you plan and partner with those people that you need at the table? And that includes the students. This is our opportunity to really reposition students in that learning process and let them have that voice. How might we then develop habits to monitor and make those mid-course changes or changes in the moment? How might we create habits where we're providing that feedback to really engage all learners? And then how might we evaluate and maintain and sustain? Sustaining is key. We heard that from districts loud and clear that, okay, we have this relief funding, but we also have to be mindful of how do we sustain if we identify strategies or strategic habits that really have a significant impact. So I bring this out again in case you haven't really seen it. It's in the Accelerate CT framework, page 8, and there's a reason why I'm sharing with you now. So what I want you to leave here today with is, if those are your habits, whatever your habits are, these guiding questions might be helpful, because if you're going to prioritize to accelerate any kind of schooling or leverage your strategic operating plan, whatever the work might be, then what must always be true? So again, it's building those strong habits and committing to those so that in the end, you have the outcome that you're looking for, that desired result, or as listed here, your desired future normal. So this is just an easy chart that you could use. You could remix and replicate with your team in district, that if these are the habits we're trying to realize for each step, then again, what must always be true as a team? So that's just a tool to leverage. This is also in the Accelerate CT framework on page 6. And what I've done here now on page 6, we've kind of we pre-populated some sticky notes, if you will, but you could use good old-fashioned sticky notes in district and paper or the wall chart paper, and let's throw it all up there. The matrix you probably have seen similar matrices like this, but this one I'm hearing a lot from the field is critical when you're trying to prioritize. So you have to determine what has a high impact or a low impact, what will be really difficult in the overall implementation, and what might be easy. So what I've done here is pre-populated a few things, and we can slide these over and place them on the matrix of like, it's going to have a significant high impact, and right now relatively easy to implement. So maybe that is something that we're going to start with first. We're going to prioritize implementing that first. So home visits, I'm going to use that as an example. Those home visits, you know, have a high impact, and right now might be in the middle of implementation. You have access to PD. So how might we register folks or a team to attend the home visit training? And then you have to talk about the implementation plan, of course. So you may be shifting it along this, this line of difficulty or ease of implementation, but you know it's going to have a substantial impact on our learners and re-engaging them. So you may prioritize now to accelerate the learning experience and reimagine what we do. Home visits is going to be prioritized. I also put on your summer learning. That is like right now, actually, you've probably been planning summer learning since February and March. But if you're going to redesign that summer learning experience, again, sliding that over, you know that that could have a relatively high impact, and redesigning it, you determine the ease of difficulty. But if that's something that's going to be easy because of the relief funding, you're able to bring more people on board, and that's going to have a substantial broad impact, then again, we're prioritizing summer learning. Hearing a lot about curriculum renewal, that is a difficult task with the work that you're doing. You may need to engage more partners, but you know, again, that's going to have a high impact. Maybe utilizing the tools that we have released, Apex Learning and Define Learning. It may not have as great an impact right now, and you might say it's difficult to implement, but or maybe it's worth it for a targeted group. So maybe Apex and Defined may not be as highly prioritized as some of the other resources. So I share this with you here, again, connecting the dots. If we are going to accelerate and really reimagine what we do, let's throw it all out there and determine which is going to have that high impact and what is the ease of difficulty of implementing that. Continuing to connect the dots to ARP-ESSER. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth. These strategies, these innovative initiatives and resources that we have listed in this document are some that I've already spoken to, or there's even more that maybe you haven't had a chance to really dig into. But I would say that these can then become one of your sticky notes that you're determining how to prioritize and implement for your district to have that kind of impact that you're looking for. So when you, I'm going to fly out. Kari, can you still see the screen with the ESSER plan? Okay, great. So I think we have to give ourselves time to really dig deep into this document. Once we get past, sorry for scrolling, there's a lot of front matter and content that really reminds us of what our state level priorities are. And we were very mindful, thoughtful to ensure that we had the right statewide priorities. But what we've also done here is, I'm going to scroll quickly to this page, and this is beginning on page 5. We've tried to curate for you what are the initiatives and resources that really check the boxes for these statewide priorities. And we will continue to create resources or refine the ones, the assets that we've put out there. So you see there's a substantial list here. So this might help you in that decision making of sorting the high impact, low impact, and ease of difficulty. So I encourage you to start with page 5. Read through the different resources that are provided here that are also hyperlinked for access, and this does continue. And I think we stop at page 10.
I was not seeing the web page. I'm sorry. I was seeing the ESSER plan here. We're just seeing your screens. I'm sorry.
So yeah, you should be seeing the ESSER plan, correct?
We're not. We're just seeing the screen. I mean, the slide.
Okay. So I do apologize. It's
hard to switch. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would have to. So again, the ESSER documents beginning on page 5 and going through pages 11, you will see a very similar format. And the beauty of this is that these are the initiatives or resources that are available to you that really check the boxes for these statewide priorities as you're thinking about your plan and overall design. So I do have, again, bringing back that question of like, where are you and where do you want to be thinking about this work? Might you want to implement this as a strategy and working with your team or doing it yourself? I find it helpful too when trying to prioritize for my own work before I engage my team. Maybe you're thinking about your stakeholder engagement with families. Is this a strategy activity that you might want to have your stakeholder engagement groups participate in? And again, like I said, good old fashioned sticky notes and chart paper can help with making that decision making and prioritizing that work to the top. Utilizing some of the resources that are in the ARP ESSER plan, and then really does it help us get to where we want to be? I always like to, again, show visually connecting the dots. So these are the 3 things that I've shared with you as a reminder today. I think there's some follow-up too, where we're going to be digging in deeper. Kari, correct?
That's right. Yeah,
And-
so we're gonna break out smaller groups.
I always like to be consistent with some of the quotes I use. Everything is figure outable, and we're here to do that with you so we can figure this out. But also I wanted to share control the controllables. I think this is an important thing to be reminded of. What do you have within your control as assets that you can then leverage or layer in something else as a support as you're thinking about the work going forward and utilizing the resources I've shared today. So again, I just wanted to share my contact one more time. I'm always happy to come to the table, lean in, and be a thought partner with you. And thank you, Kari.
I'm sorry about that. I was trying to get ahead of
No, it was
myself.
perfect. It was perfect. Take control for sure. So again, like I said, I just wanted to like connect the dots, and yeah, this is one of my favorite things right now to work through. So I'll stop there, pause, and see what you're thinking.
Does anyone have any questions? I know we've looked at these documents a couple of times now and looked at the Accelerate CT. And at the State Department, we have our work group, which is across agency, and we are going to spend some time with these documents and how to overlay them in our strategies around attendance and school climate and tier 3 students or students representing tier 3 attendance data. And just wonder if anyone has any questions regarding this at this time. For Irene. We're so lucky to have her here. So
Oh, thank you. No, I'm lucky to be here. Kari, one thing I failed to mention, because I know like the Massachusetts document came out and that is an incredible document, right? That's like a classroom guide, very practical. But I think what's not really getting out there, if you can show your website, the state website for Accelerate CT, I think this gives us an opportunity to share additional tools and resources as people are thinking of their questions.
okay, let me pull it up and I'll show you.
Because what we did, what we heard is, okay, don't create a document that is 75 pages long for us to read. So we were mindful of that. So that's why Accelerate CT is rather short, at least 20 or so pages. But what we did do is create a companion webpage that you can use as a drop down. And we've curated a number of other strategies, kind of like use case scenarios, that if I am a grade 3 teacher and here's what I'm thinking, then here's a strategy and here's the resource. Did you find it, Kari?
I'm just opening it now.
So I think this, again, I just presented as a reminder, and SEL is in there as well. All of the statewide priorities are there.
I think it's sharing my full screen.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it was sharing my full screen. I'm working on my flexibility with this.
I can try and do it.
Oh, sorry.
Let me see if I can write my messy desktop in
Yeah.
all its.
And
Right.
that's everything.
Okay, let's see if this will work.
Okay.
Kari, you can see the
Yep.
webpage, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
under COVID-19 resources for family, this is where you can find the Accelerate CT information as well as the summer enrichment information. But if you click on this hyperlink here and select that, you'll get to the Accelerate CT webpage. So what we've done here, this is the framework that I just referenced and talking through. But also here, these are the statewide priorities. So when you expand, so let's say learning acceleration, it's going to be open up to what is the cycle specific to academics. So this is a universal cycle, but what we've done is made this specific to what happens when you're thinking about academics. And we've provided, we call them plays. So if the highly effective practice that we've identified is listed here, so if you are a school principal and this is what you're thinking through, here's a resource or asset that you want to consider using. The same if I'm a teacher, coach, I'm thinking about this. Here's the resource. So this goes on for a number of pages. Right now, this is the best way to present the information. So we are continuing to refine this. But again, I wanted to make sure that you knew that this existed. And we really tried to make it relevant to the classroom teacher or whatever the role might be. And so you can scroll through and this continues to go on. The same exists. I'm going to go back and use my breadcrumbs at the top for family and community connections. So if you click on that and expand, you have new resources here. Additionally, the plays. So the same format. If I am a district leader and this is what I'm thinking about, here is the related asset or resource. And again, you can scroll through and have access to these resources. So this expands on just those two documents that I shared with you. This provides deeper resources. And the last one I'll just show is the social emotional learning, where you again have plays that we have curated for you. Again, if I'm a third grade teacher, this is what I'm thinking. Here's a resource for me. So I'll stop sharing because I just wanted to make sure that people realize that those tools were available as well.
That's fantastic. The demonstration and the plays and where to find all of those resources. And I'm going to share my screen again.
And this is Jay, just as an aside, in addition to all the great information in that anchor document for Accelerate Connecticut, there's also an embedded link for new guidance around specific to students with disabilities. That's a companion to the anchor document. So for folks who are wondering about that, make sure to go in and take a look through that link. And any questions that you have, certainly get a hold of the Bureau. We'll be happy to answer them.
Exactly.
This slide here, although it looks like a lot of information, I just want you have all of these links. And so you have under Accelerate CT, this link will take you right to that top page where the 6 priority areas are here as well. And the special ed document that Jay spoke about is here, and the framework is here. So all of this is here for you, including the 6 priority areas. Okay. So I'm gonna, are there any other questions for Irene while she's here? And I'm going to bring you to, we're gonna go into breakout rooms at this point. Let me get us to where we wanna be. Sorry if it's making you dizzy. Okay. Here we are, breakout sessions. So I've broken everyone out into breakout sessions. There should be about 4 or 5 people in each. If you get into a room and it looks like everyone is not there, certainly come back and we'll place you in another room. Breakout sessions, we'd like you to reflect on Irene Presley's presentation about where are you? Think about that grid, a high impact, high effort. Where do you want to be? And how would you prioritize at your district, given what you know right now? And just to share with your colleagues at this point, how you might use some of these tools at your district. I'm going to give you about 15 minutes, and then we'll probably a little less than 15, but we'll come back and we'll do a little reporting out and talk about what's coming up next. So I'm going to go ahead and start the room. So does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Irene, very much. That was amazing.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Here we go. Takes a minute. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Betsy. Sure.
Everyone's starting to come back. I hope you had a great breakout session with lots of ideas to share. I'll give everyone a minute or two. It looks okay. It looks like everyone's back. Yep, it looks like everyone is back. And so would love to hear, how did you do when you were thinking about prioritizing at your district or school? If there's anything you'd like to share either out loud or in the chat. I know I saw some chats going back and forth, and parent teacher home visiting and family engagement. Home visits are so important right now over the summer, re-engaging and developing stronger relationships for going back to school. And we can't emphasize enough how important it is for teachers to do that, as well as the community agency or your home visitors, to really have the teachers helping to welcome families back and talk about what to expect in the upcoming year. It can be very comforting and effective with families. But does anyone want to share? I'm gonna stop sharing my presenting so we can see each other better. And okay, so anyone from any of the districts, the Alliance districts, want to share what they're thinking of prioritizing as they go back to their district? There's not a lot of us here, so if Sandra and Carly, Rachel.
I can share what we actually focus. I can share.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sandra.
Well, in our breakout sessions, we talked about East Haven and New Britain and how we're focusing on parent teacher home visiting and the work we're doing associated with that. And that leads into what we're focusing on with our admin PD at the end of the year. And we both ventured into parent teacher home visiting. We started about 2 years ago, so we have our own internal with paid and with parent teacher home visiting. And California are actually conducting 4 3-hour trainings for us, right after school gets out and before the week is over. So we have one at 11 today. We had 4 informational 1-hour sessions, and then we offered 4 3-hour trainings for the next step. And I think Julie was mentioning the same thing, but I'll have her speak to that. So our focus is on the multi-tiered approach to home visiting, ultimately. So, and ensuring that the marketing and the messaging about parent-teacher home visiting is positive, and it's for all children. And we're working with our community partners on that.
Wonderful.
And I think I see some people from New Britain on here. So I'll leave with that.
That's really helpful, Sandra. Thank you. Anyone else thinking of signing folks up for the parent-teacher home visiting training next in 2 weeks? I think it's in 2 weeks. Any of the districts? New London.
London's looking pretty close. We're just waiting for a couple other people to give it a final go, but I think we have a high level of interest here.
Great, wonderful.
Yeah, same in Bridgeport. I'm hoping to have about 5 or 6 of our school counselors participate in the training, as well as we're working really closely with some of our community partners to help support the home visiting program. And so hopefully if we can get them on board quick enough for them to participate in the training as well. But just to go back, Kari, for what you were asking before, like what some of our priorities are it's definitely the home visits. It's definitely bringing in our community partners to support our work. We are focusing a lot on the transition years. We're doing a transition academy here in Bridgeport because we do know that they were impacted by by everything, and that their attendance rates were significantly lower. And then we're also in the process of purchasing a data warehouse where schools will be able to have their own dashboards, and we'll be pulling data from all of our different platforms. And so we'll have real-time accessible data at the school level for them to be able to analyze students. And our goal is, for home visiting to become an early intervention rather than, waiting until the student is so chronically absent that a home visiting might not even be able to help them at that point. And so we really want to strengthen our, our tier 1 and tier 2 interventions. And I think by having this real-time data, we'll be able to do that.
Wonderful. That's excellent. Thank you for sharing. It sounds very comprehensive. Is the data warehouse through PowerSchool, or is it something you're adding on to PowerSchool?
It's something completely separate, but it will pull the data from PowerSchool. Well, we were using Naviance, but we're using something different for next year. But all of our different platforms, the College Board, the whatever the bilingual department is using to hold some of their data as well, it will pull all of that and then be able to create the dashboards for the schools.
Wonderful. Thank you. Julie, I see your hand is raised. Julie from East Haven.
Yeah, so I was also in the breakout room and with Sandra and Betsy and sharing. East Haven's very excited to be taking on the parent-teacher home visits, and we did do we had a handful of teachers train at the last session that was offered to prepare them for the summer for those transitions. So we have some 6th grade counselors. We're hiring a 9th grade transition counselor and a few teachers at each grade level to target specifically the transition years over the summer and then roll out, at each school for the start of the school year. So we are also offering paid training over the summer to our teachers to get on board, and very excited to be doing it.
Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else like to share their priorities? Okay, well, thank you very much. I know it's a small group, and I really appreciate your attending and being with us. Our next Talk Tuesday is on June 29th, and we will have the Performance Office presenting on the latest findings from Connecticut's data over the last school year. In the PowerPoint, when you receive it, you'll have the link to the study, so you don't have to wait 2 weeks to see what it says. I also, our next Community Media Practice is July 29th. So registration will be opening for that shortly, and I'll send out the link. Julie, I see your hand is up. Are you still, do you want me to lower your hand, or did you have another question?
I'm sorry, I just didn't lower it.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions before we leave? All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a nice week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going to go all summer, so as you can, please join us on Tuesdays. Take care.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Kari.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.